What is up, comic book fans? Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us on the Local Comic Podcast. This is a little bit of a public service announcement that what you're getting ready to watch does and will contain spoilers. We are talking about new releases. We are talking about books that have not been out very long, probably. And so if you are reading any of these series that we're talking about, they'll be listed in the description below. And you do not want spoilers, if you're not caught up, just give us a pause, go read that book, and come back and hang out with us. Otherwise, buckle up and let's talk some comics. What is up, comic book fans, and thank you for coming back to the Local Comic Podcast, where we are covering everything in the Absolute Universe because this is the Absolute Show. And this week we've got another new release in the Absolute Universe, and it is Absolute Batman number 4. But before we dive into that, it is me, your boy Travi, Trek Wars Comics, whatever you want to call me. And as always, we got my dude over here, Phil, aka Rebel Recess. How was your week, buddy?
We got snow.
We did get snow, and for anybody that doesn't know, we live in North Carolina, so that's like a really big deal down here.
1 inch will set us back eternity. We got snow, so we got snowed. We didn't get snowed in, but we didn't have to go anywhere Friday. So I was kind of bummed. I was wanting to go see A Complete Unknown again at the movie theater, but apparently the movies were also closed.
Really?
So we stayed in, and my Lincoln and my little man over here, where's it? Oh, get my finger right. We finished this little X Mansion Lego set over here. Yeah, so that's what we've been doing.
I love that set. That's such a cool set.
So next we got to start the Java sail barge, but we've just been enjoying being snowed in. What about you?
Man, not much. We didn't. You guys actually got more snow than we did, even though we were forecasted to get more than you did. We were just in a weird spot in the storm where we didn't really get a lot of anything. I mean, it really wasn't that bad. Like it just really wasn't terrible. People 10 minutes down the road from us, it was way worse for them, and but we were it wasn't all that bad. So, but we did go out and have some fun and play in the snow a little bit. It's such a novel thing down here. I think it's been. It's been over 1,000 days since we've had snow.
Well,
yeah.
That, but even beyond those, like we haven't had, I think 2015, 2016, like 8 years. We had like in Greensboro, at least High Point area, we had like 15 inches of snow. So like that was real snow. Like we actually could do something. This is snow. We couldn't even like a snowman.
It wasn't like even 2 inches. It wasn't really anything.
This isn't snow.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in the mountains in this area, it's a whole different ball game. Like they actually get legitimate winter weather. But we also don't have the infrastructure for it where we're at, so it always has a huge impact on everything here.
We won't have school tomorrow, I'm pretty certain.
I'm guaranteeing it, and there's hardly anything on the main roads or anything like that. So
yeah, people are sending pictures like we live in a popular area, so the roads are hitting all that stuff. We're good, but everyone else, like, though they can't get those buses in there. It ain't gonna happen.
Yep. And so I'm sure that anybody listening to us that are in any area that has actual winter weather every year are probably like, really? But it's just one of those things, man. You get down here and you realize, like, yeah, you know what? It's probably better that everybody just stays home because they are not prepared for this ever.
Well, and the funny thing is on Friday, I went to McKay's. I was sending you the pictures of the comic books I was finding.
Right, yeah, the place that you never take me to. That's apparently full of great deals.
We just got to meet there halfway. Me and Lincoln went in there, and I got caught up looking at movies and comic books or whatever. It was fine going in. We got back out to the front before as I was checking out, and their whole front is glass, and you could see outside snow. It just like hit. But while we were in there, wasn't paying attention whatsoever. So we had to drive back in it as it was starting. Everyone was going like 30 miles an hour on the highway. Luckily, no accidents, but Lincoln was worried.
It's so early. It's basically just rain at that point.
Yeah,
it's just rain.
Already.
It's just slow rain.
The worst part is trusting other people not to freak out.
Yeah,
just get home people.
And down here, that's a hard thing to do because people act crazy.
You get nuts.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a little North Carolina winter weather update from anybody that is interested in how things work down here. Yeah. So but yeah, got some snow. Got to read some comics. It was cool. I did go to my LCS yesterday. That was pretty neat. They were open. And so picked up a couple good books. Picked up that Geiger Action Comics 1 homage, which was a really cool variant this
I
week.
love that cover.
I did not get the Francavilla Batman 4 variant. They didn't have it, so I'm going to have to go find it. It shouldn't be too bad to get a hold of, though. We got, I think that's it. I didn't get a whole lot this week from the LCS, but.
I just picked up the Batman. What was it, Fantastic Four?
Mm-hmm.
Like reprint or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, was it J. Scott Campbell's Magic? I think was.
Yes,
this week?
That did drop this week. Yep.
Yeah, that's all I picked up.
Yep. And if I'm not mistaken, Magic, I believe, is on Rivals, I think.
Yeah.
And all of those Rivals characters are just popping.
Well, they had. Well, I don't know, this might be coming up later, but I don't know if they had some Marvel Rivals covers this week for some books, but I didn't pick up any of them.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. So yeah, some of those Marvel Rivals stuff are starting to pop. Like, I mean, everybody knows about Jeff now. Jeff has blown up on the aftermarket now. So
yeah, Jeff came out of nowhere, like true Jaws fashion, just came up out of nowhere and bit everybody.
Yep, it's continuing to happen. So I think we're going to probably see some more Rivals bumps on the aftermarket as far as comics are concerned.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough of that. This is the Absolute Show, so we're going to be talking about the Absolute Universe. We have a surprisingly large amount of news today, and we also only have one book to cover. So, as always, we're going to go into the rundown, talk about the issue. I realized that on the Lost episode, we talked about our new format, and we didn't cover it in the last episode and how we're going to be doing these books. So, we're going to talk about it right now. So, the way we're going to do it now is each of us is going to take a series. So whenever we have an Absolute Batman, it's going to go to Phil, and he's going to do the recap on the book. Whenever we have an Absolute Superman, it's going to go to me. And until March, we're just going to alternate Wonder Woman. And then when March comes around, all hell's going to break loose, and we're each going to have to cover 3 books. So, because we'll have 6 total, so we're just going to have to split them and figure out who's going to cover what.
Gonna get nuts.
And actually, we may have one extra one that kind of popped up on the upcoming releases that I think may be worth us talking about a little bit. A couple little new wrinkles with the Absolute Universe, and this is what I wanted. I wanted the crossover, and it's going to happen. We all kind of felt like it was going to happen, but we're starting to see those little threads start to come to where the 2 universes are going to start interacting, it looks like. So we'll get into that later. Right now, we got one new release this week, so let's go into the rundown, and we will talk about this book. All right, this week we had Absolute Batman number 4, and right now on the screen you can see cover A, the Nick Dragotta cover. We'll talk about my thoughts after it, but this is officially the origin issue, the year 1, cutting away from our current event story within the Absolute Batman series. So without further ado, Philip, my man, it's all yours.
Number 4, like you said, our breakaway year 1 intro. We were just talking how I like TV shows that break away from the story and tell a different story within the story, and how usually that's my favorite if it's told very well. So we'll see what happens here with Absolute Batman 4 year 1. But this book starts off with obviously which year 1. We get to see Batman early on, when in a way I was not expecting whatsoever. And I forgot, we've mentioned this before. Dragotta was doing the artwork, but he didn't do it for this one. What's the guy's name who did this one?
It is. Hold, please. I will get it for you. It is Gabriel Hernandez Walta.
Yes, and so I think that's key because the art is very different, especially for this first few panels when they are showing Batman going out and beating some dudes. It's very. I don't even know how to describe it. Do you know how you would describe how it looks?
It
It's
looks old. I it looks
old is probably
vintage.
the
It looks like
yes,
if you put in a movie from the 1970s that hadn't been, up converted to whatever.
right.
It's fuzzy and grainy and it looks aged like you're looking at an old photograph and I think it's
Yes.
really cool. But yeah, go ahead.
I think it's awesome. It's a good thing you said old. So that makes me think of like I love watching an old horror movie. It's all grainy, whatever. Then today, if you watch them and they've done it takes the effect out of it. So, but it adds the effect here because, as I said, horror. Because we get to see Batman a little different here. My man's got fangs. He has really went all in on this bat thing early on, and so he has fangs. He's approaching the criminals. He's more of I guess like it's like it looks like a horror thing. Like he's like Dracula type deal showing up, and we see later that he's even like Alfred, not Alfred. Who's he talking to? Someone's kind of mocking him. Who's mocking him? Who's he go to? I can't remember. I'm sure we read it. Someone's talking about, do you think this Batman is enough? It might could just be conversations back and forth.
Yeah.
But then he even says like, I even have the teeth that paralyze when I bite. So like he's really went into this the
Was he
theme
not
of the
talking to himself there?
he might have
Just
been talking to himself.
interior
This might have
in
been what
like
it is. Yeah,
interior
yeah. That's
monologue.
I'm just so used to Alfred being the guy blasting him for stuff, which is not totally the case here. But yeah, so he's like, I went in on this bat thing, and then for the rest of the issue, we go back and forth with Bruce, younger Bruce, and obviously now Bruce now is older. And it kind of like it's year one, so it kind of gives us our beginning of how Bruce becomes Batman with his father. We go back to the bridge that he builds, which kind of sets him on this path because we know winning that award is what got him to the zoo, got Thomas um, murked, taken out, unfortunately. So he's building this bridge. He's having conversations with his father, and he keeps asking his father for like reassurance, like, is this a good idea? I want to build this bridge to help people. And then in those moments, Thomas also tells things to Bruce about like his life goals. And Thomas tells Bruce that he wanted to be a doctor, I believe, because he saw someone, his father
His father,
passed,
yeah.
and he didn't want other people to go through that. But obviously, his path was changed, and he didn't become a doctor. In this universe, he became a teacher. But he was telling him how, like, I'm still helping people. I'm still making a difference by being a teacher. It's just different than I had planned. And I think that obviously correlates over to Bruce, especially with this bridge that he's building. He's building this bridge. He wants it to be a symbol. He wants it to be adaptable to help. Turns into a bat. And then so I guess you could say that Bruce was probably on the path of being an engineer or some sort of thing that would help benefit people like that. But obviously losing his father takes him down a different path. But you can still see like his father says, I still do the same thing. It's still the same thing. He's created the Batman out of this bat bridge. Um, and adapted to help the city and stuff like that. So we're getting those little moments with the bridge back and forth and how he's making advancements, making it better. And then we get Bruce also. They never show us the murder, Thomas murder in this issue specifically, but we do see that he is in the courthouse with Joe Chill as being tried for this murder. And Bruce says he goes to speak. The judge gives him permission, and he says, "I don't want to hear anything from you. Basically, if you have something to say, I don't want to hear it." And then by the end of the issue, though, and I should have reread it fully before we did this. But by the end of the issue, Batman, I believe he ends up watching over. Is he watching over like the rich folk in the like? Is he just watching them? And he's
Yeah,
he's, he's
nothing.
giving a
Not.
commentary
Yeah,
basically about how they're rich, they're going on with their lives or whatever,
yeah.
and stuff like
Basically,
that.
he's talking about how they have a different persona in the public eye. Talking about, I think there was one person, a politician, talking about bringing jobs to the Heights, but but begging for donations to for like automations and robotics and stuff that wouldn't actually bring jobs, and just basically talking about how like there's like the EPA chief was there, and he was talking about how he was one of the big polluters of Gotham and everything. So just talking about how these people are to the public eye pretending like they care, but then they all get into a room together and they're just schmoozing and talking about just continuing to fill their own pockets at the expense of the working class.
Right, and what's cool is I was reading that I was thinking, well, in the other universe of Batman, Bruce is one of those people for the most part.
Right.
Secretly, he's Batman, but he was a person who would be in those rooms with those people. It's just different now that he's not that person in this universe. That he's not in those rooms anymore, or at all in this
Right.
universe. So I thought that was cool. But then, like we said, like young Bruce didn't want to hear anything from Joe Chill, after the murder and all that stuff. But the issue ends with it's Bruce going straight to Joe Chill, present day, correct? It's present day, right? Present
I
day.
believe so.
Yeah, so he's going to Joe Chill and says, "You have something you want to say to me," and that's just how it ends. So
Yep.
it's curious to like I was kind of confused for me where that drops into the current story that we have now. If this is, I don't know, I don't know how it plays in. But
Yeah.
I mean, that was basically it. Again, a lot of Thomas and Bruce interaction throughout the whole story. Um, how did you feel about the issue?
I actually thought it was great. And I think the art was part of what drove it for me. I love seeing this sort of kind of homage to like the Golden Age Batman early on. He looked very much like the Golden Age Batman, and bro had claws and fangs with paralytic stuff and a gun and all of this
Oh, the
stuff.
gun! I
The
forgot the
gun,
gun.
yeah, they had a gun, and very much was a trying to find his way kind of thing. I can't help but draw parallels to uh, the Bruce's interior monologue when he's looking down on the upper class and kind of drawing it and comparing it to the way this Clark or this Kal-El that we're getting in Absolute Superman feels about uh, the wealthy and the powerful and the ruling class too. That was the one thing that kept popping into my head. Is like, wow, this is so oddly similar. Their feelings, towards people in power and the way that they treat, the working class or the less fortunate. I thought it was a great issue. Now, until you just said about that last frame being present day, I actually thought, well, maybe this is a continuation. Maybe this is going to be a sub story where,
For the next issue
well,
or
maybe not the next issue, but
later?
maybe later,
Later.
like where
Okay, I
yeah,
didn't think of that.
yeah. But I don't know. I'm not really sure because it's hard to tell because his art is so different from the art style is so different from Nick Dragotta that it's hard for me to tell how old the Bruce is that we're looking at. Are we looking
Right.
at a present day Bruce? Are we looking at that like that year one Bruce where he's still young and still trying to figure things out, and obviously he hasn't been Batman for a long, long time in the current continuity, but he's been around for a little bit. So for me, it was one of those things where I actually thought it was just something that they were just going to continue. But now that you mentioned it being present day, you might be right.
Well,
Ultimately, go ahead.
yeah, I
Sorry.
don't know. No, I didn't know. That's when I got to it, it kind of confused me, and man, that's blame me on that. I was like, wait a minute, is this because that's not where we're at with the last with issue 3? So I was kind of confused at
Yeah.
where it ended up at.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I kind of really loved the moment in the courtroom where young Bruce, said, he doesn't. I don't care how sorry you are. I don't care about anything that you have to say. Like, I hate you. You know what I mean?
right, yeah,
It's kind of that's a very powerful couple panels there talking about how he thought he would never feel happier in that moment of his dad being proud of him inside of the zoo, and he thought that there would never be a time in his life that he would feel happier than them, and that Joe Chill took all that away from him, and he will never forgive him for it. I thought it was a really, really, really powerful sequence. I thought it was well written. I thought it was really cool. And I think, like, overall for me, I think this is a nice kind of step back from the main story because of how the last one ended. And so you kind of have to sit and marinate on that one, the end of
hmm
issue 3, and marinate on that one. But this is a nice way um, to at least kind of step back and look at it. Overall, I really like the issue. Um, I kind of liked it better than issue 3. It felt more self-contained anyway, so those are always like felt kind of like a one shot. So those always are a little more satisfying because you get some resolution there at the end. But at the very last page just kind of made me wonder if it was going to be continued, if we're going to continue to tell the story of this younger, less experienced Batman in this universe.
Well, based on like you just said that court thing, I think it also parallels issue 3 a lot though, in that so as a child, it would make sense for young Bruce to say those things to Joe Chill, but by the end of the issue, he goes back
And it's
to see
talking
what
to
he
him.
has to say. So that just shows maturity and growth. And again, we got stuck on this the last issue. Bruce was going through the steps of, do I make this deal or do I not? Do I reach out, or whatever? And by the end of the issue, he does. So it's, to me, it's like the same thing. Like Bruce is learning in both issues. He's maturing. So now it's up to us to like just trust
Trust it,
him.
yeah.
We're trusting this character.
Well,
Like he's going through things because
we can even say that about the very beginning of this issue when, like we said, he's got all those things, the fangs and the claws and the guns, and he's talking to himself and he goes, what do you say, it's just a bunch of effing theatrics and all this stuff, and he instead does what anybody who ever gets mossed in the NFL says is, he says weight room. He goes and hits the weights and he gets huge, and explains sort of why this Batman is so massive, because that was his decision, was to just be as strong as he could possibly be, so that he didn't have to rely on those things. And I liked his comment about, you get rid of 10 criminals, 10 more will take their place. It needs to be something bigger, and could be setting the table a little bit for why he made the decision that he did, understanding that money could certainly sustain something bigger.
right.
What'd you think of the RC bottle jack car?
I thought that was cool. So yeah, there was little pieces like that. Yeah, I really should reread this before I did it. Yeah, the RC car was cool. I did miss the dump mobile this issue, but I thought that was a cool little thing that he did. Dang, is there anything else that I missed that I'm forgetting?
I don't.
RC car.
Yeah,
it was. So that was. This is what was. I like the issue overall. I feel like there's still much to be desired, but now that now you said the opposite, I was thinking that this may continue into another issue possibly. Is something. I didn't expect. I don't know. I guess I didn't expect there to be so much little Bruce in it. Like I didn't expect that part of it. So when we got stuck, I don't want to say we got stuck there, but there was a lot of that in that bridge and that stuff, and it makes sense. Like I'm all for it or whatever. I just didn't expect that. There was more to be desired though for me. I really want to like. I thought it was gonna be just it was an issue start to finish. We weren't gonna have any questions, but then it ends with a question, like when is this happening and what is there to be told, and it's separate from what we've been reading so far. So it left me on a cliffhanger, I guess.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what they're going to do if this is standalone, because I don't know, and all of this could be a dumb argument, because I don't know if Snyder has said that this is the only time we're going to touch on this backstory. I don't know that he's
I haven't seen
explicitly
anything.
said that. So if he has, then we can just ignore this conversation for the next episode. But I think that's a legitimate thing to think about. I mean, I think there's a little more meat on that bone, because you stayed on young Bruce for so long. I think there's a little more meat on that bone and to what you could get. Because if this is it, the one thing I will say is that there wasn't a ton that happened. I mean, we heard a little bit about the day that Thomas was shot. And we got a little bit of how Bruce was feeling and why he's doing what he did. But if this is it, it all feels kind of very scrunched together, and that you feel like you could get a little more out of this. And they do kind of do like a couple panels where Bruce is traveling across the country and seeing different things happen. Like he's in DC, and then he's in the desert, and he's in different places, kind of experiencing things. And I think there's always been correlations with the bats, at Wayne Manor and everything. And I do think this is an interesting kind of different route to take with the bat, why he picked the bat, because, there's always been different takes on why Bruce picks the bat, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it always has something, it always ties into being around bats at Wayne Manor or whatever, like under Wayne Manor because of the Bat Cave, all that stuff. But none of that exists in this universe, so it's interesting to see why he went this direction, to understand why he chose to be the Batman. I thought that was a cool feature here because he talks about how bats defy all odds. They're the only mammals that fly. Interesting things, and talks about how they can adapt to so many different situations and interesting things. But overall, it felt like either the issue could have been longer and more satisfying, or they could, or maybe even should, continue this like every fourth, fifth issue.
Right.
Do one of these. Continue the story, because that last panel, or not the last panel, but the next to last panel, when you first see the new suit, like the bulked up Bruce in a newer suit, it's not the suit he's wearing. I don't think it's the suit he's wearing in the current
No,
continuity.
I don't think so either.
So it's like the second prototype. It looks awesome, and the if anybody wants to know what it looks like and you haven't read the issue, it's the one on the Francavilla variant. That's what it looks like. It's got kind of spikes on the shoulders and it looks really cool. I think it's like a really neat design. I think you could explore that. I think you could dig into that a little further. And Snyder's, in his history, has done this before. So he went back and did Zero Year, which was kind of a I believe it was a little bit of a precursor to his present day. I believe, and I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I've read that arc, but I believe that was set in the past, to the current day. What at the time was the New 52 timeline. So he's done this before. It would be interesting to see them do it a little differently and just say, like, drop every fourth, fifth issue and just say, oh, we're going back to year one on this one, at least until it burns out or until they run
I
out of
would
something
like
to talk
that
about.
idea. I would like that to see, because I feel like there's more, and it would make sense that this Joe Chill thing is something before we get to the mess that we're dealing with now.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep. Well, anything else on this one? I mean, overall, you liked it.
yeah, overall I liked it. I want more.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of kind of making you like want more. I definitely didn't leave it thinking that sucked. I just
Right.
left it thinking it felt too short. Like
Yeah.
you could have added a couple more pages into this, and it maybe resolved the whole thing. But maybe they did that intentionally. I don't know. It's tough to say. But overall, I liked it. I like the contrast of the art style compared to Dragota's style. I like. This is the first time I've actually seen this artist, Walta. This is the first time I've seen him, and I really dig it. I dig the style. I like the look. The kid's just such a contrast compared to what we've already seen so far. So it's definitely a cool thing, especially to make it look older and vintage and kind of fuzzy and grainy, like it's a distant memory. So it's pretty cool.
Ooh, distant memory. What if this is just Bruce telling us how he sees it happening,
Oh
and
yeah,
it could be totally just wrong.
yep,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
doing too much now.
yeah. Next
But
we'll get it. Next we'll get an issue by the guy he bit on the neck.
yeah,
Let's see his point of view.
this is what really happened.
I can't walk.
He turned into an actual bat. Morbius over here. He's poisoning people and they're changing.
Oh man, well that's good. Yeah, I like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I just wanted a little more, which is not always a bad thing, but kind of murky on whether we'll get it. And personally, I would like them to tap into this a little bit more, because I think there's some interesting stuff in there.
Hmm. Agreed.
All right, well, that covers this week's release. So now we're going to move on to our upcoming release schedule, and we have quite a few. And I added something new, a new wrinkle to the release schedule. And the reason is, first off, I missed this. I missed that this released in December, so I'm very late on this. But in a previous episode, we did talk about the introduction of the New Gods into they're bringing the New Gods back into the DC universe, and that there will be some tie-in to the Absolute universe that we're going to see. Now, at the time, I hadn't really read a lot about it. I just saw that that was going to happen. Um, it turns out that it's not going to be the absolute new gods. It's just the new gods, and they're going to be a major factor in all the universes. So in the, I don't know what they're calling the current DC universe. I always just want to call it the Prime universe or whatever. But the counterpart to the Absolute universe. We're going to see the new gods play a role in both, and so it's already started. It actually, the first issue came out in December, and the next release will be this week, actually, on January 15th. We will get New Gods number 2. From what I understand, Ram V is in charge of this. Is heading the creative on this book. If anybody's not familiar with him, he's done some really awesome work. He had a kind of an underrated kind of run on Detective Comics recently that I really enjoyed with Raphael Albuquerque, who will always, always, always be one of my favorite artists. Albuquerque is insane. His work is so good. But Ramvi's in charge of this series, and has said that this will have major implications in the Absolute Universe, and it will have major implications all across the DC Universe, and a lot of it is built on. And look, we dropped so many spoilers in this already, so it doesn't really matter. And if you haven't read DC All In Special, you have no excuse at this point. But it all stems from the death of Darkseid, basically, in the DC All In Special.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. So, from what I understand, they're going to play a lot on. They're going to talk quite a bit about the relationship between Darkseid and the High Father, being, light versus dark, two sides of the same coin, and now that Darkseid is gone, this whole universe is kind of thrown into chaos, right? Because there's no balance, there's no counterbalance, and so obviously the New Gods is going to be heavily focused around Orion. It always is, but we're getting a lot of Mr. Miracle, which is always fun, and some of the other key players. So we're going to be seeing that. Like I said, I missed this, so I have not read New Gods number 1, and New Gods number 2 will hit this week. So trust me, I'll pick them up. We're gonna talk about them a little bit and cover them. So yeah.
So I need to read New Gods 1, huh?
Yeah, it looks like it.
I remember when it came out. I can't believe you missed it.
I missed it, and that's the funny thing is because
I didn't pick up a copy.
The New Gods are like some of my favorite stuff in DC
Right.
continuity, but I knew it was coming. I just didn't know it was going to be here then.
Yeah, because we talked about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we covered it a couple episodes ago, and I just had no idea that it hit, and it wasn't on the shelf at my LCS. I didn't see it in any solicitations or anything like that, which explains that, because we didn't talk about it until after it was probably already solicited. So yeah. So anyway, we'll talk about it. We'll keep track of that one, and anytime there are implications within the Absolute Universe, we will talk about it. We'll keep it on the release schedule, and might be adding something else to the release schedule here, and we'll cover that in the news here. Other than that, we've got the schedule pretty much stays the same as it was last week. Absolute Wonder Woman number 4 comes out on the 22nd. Absolute Wonder Woman number 1 third print, and number 2 second print also come out on the 22nd. Absolute Superman number 4 comes out on the 5th, and then Absolute Batman number 5 will come out on February 12th. Any of those you're particularly looking forward to?
I wish one of them was this week.
Yeah, I'm ready for Superman after that last issue. I'm ready for that one.
I want to see Laura again. I definitely want to see Laura.
I want to see how many damn Kryptonians are running around. That's what I'm interested in. Because there's got to be a significant amount, unless something crazy happens in the next couple.
Just the rich ones.
Yeah, just the rich ones. Yep, exactly. So,
yeah, Superman definitely. I got like I said, I got to see Laura again, and then but Batman's not until February 12th.
Yeah, so literally an entire month from when we're recording this. Yeah, it's insane. So yeah, so we'll dive in. We'll dive into some of the New God stuff, and we'll start including that as well. But yeah, anything else you want to add to the release schedule?
No, I'm all in on the Absolute Universe right now, and then obviously any key coming out. But I mean, waiting until the 12th is maddening.
Yeah, that's it's a long break for the Batman books. It seems like it's I don't know. It just seems longer. But the fact it looks like New Gods is going to fill that off week.
Well, now I gotta read it.
Yeah.
That's what I'll be
Well,
running to get.
now you have something every week now because
Yeah.
it's coming out in that gap week that we were having, which was usually this week, right at the week after Batman. So looks like we're getting New Gods. So great. All right.
Works
Well,
for
with
me.
that, go ahead. You got anything else?
No, that works for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, with all that, we are done with the rundown. So let's move on to the news, and we got quite a few things to cover there. All right. As always, we are going to start off with the aftermarket performance thanks to Cover Price. We're not sponsored by Cover Price, but if you're not using them, what are you doing? Go use Cover Price. It's killer. So looking at Cover Price's top 10, we always check the top 10 and the runners up to see where things are falling on the list. And this week, surprise, surprise, DC All in Special number 1 is back in the top 10. And it is at number 7. Surprising to absolutely no one, the number 1 book in the top 10 this week is Omega Men, the first appearance of Lobo.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. A sneaky one though is Lobo number 1, the solo series. That one's obviously popping too. And the runners up though, we have 2 more books, and it's Absolute Batman. Number 1, the Jim Lee variant, which is a really cool one. That's kind of a spoiler on the chest plate battle axe thing. And then at 19 we have Absolute Batman number 1 cover A still hanging out up there. So Absolute Wonder Woman number 1 drops off the list, and that we thought that was a little bit of an odd one to see hop up there into the top 10. But hey, it happens. Sometimes they pop. Anything majorly surprising here to you?
Well, I still got 2 books in the top 10, so that makes me feel good about myself. What makes me feel bad about myself is I didn't buy more
Yeah.
of those all-ins again. Every week
Yep.
I'm gonna keep saying this.
Yep.
And that top 20, hey, that Mark Spears, Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street cover. Oh my gosh, that should be number 1. That is fire.
It's insane. It's
I don't have
good.
any of these Mark Spears books because they're my price range kind of. And there's so many of them. Once I buy one, it's a wrap. But so far, that Freddy one is yeah.
It's insane. I think what's that one? The top sell on that one is 80, I believe, for a
Yeah.
raw near mint. Whew, $80 for a
Golly.
raw. That's whew.
That's crazy,
That's
bro.
brutal. That's you know what that is? That's miss the boat price is what that is.
Yeah, it'll come back down. Just wait. They'll make another bad Freddy movie and it'll drop. Please, just for my sake.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Spears. I mean, where is he at? Was he got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books on there this week? So yeah, he's got 6 of the top 20. It's pretty wild. But yeah, and just because we all love our crypto people, we all love. Everybody knows this. Alex Ross crypto cover still hanging out up there at number 8. Had a top sell at a 9.6 for $250.
Good for Alex Ross staying relevant
Yep.
with crypto.
Yep. Like he needs any help staying relevant.
Well, he doesn't, but I mean, I love that he's still.
Everybody,
Let these
everybody
youngins know who Alex Ross is.
Yeah, right. Like you put some respect on his name.
Yeah.
He is quite literally. I mean, he will always be in my top 5.
Oh yeah, there's
always.
without a doubt. There's
Right.
no way he could be, especially with that newer Fantastic Four stuff. Though,
That was sick.
I just
Yeah.
love that.
Yep. What was that called? It was like a hardcover. Like it just came out as a hardcover.
Yeah,
It wasn't
I have it
single
over
issues.
here somewhere.
Yeah.
It's over here.
Yeah,
But
it
yeah,
was,
I love Alex Ross.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you never forget like the first time you see an Alex Ross cover and you've never seen one before, and you think, "What is this?" And you find out, he paints a lot of these. He paints of the vast majority of these, and you just it's mind blowing.
Well, it's crazy we're on this Alex Ross tangent. I mean, he's always top 5 for me, but like sometimes when I close my eyes to envision a character, it's usually an Alex Ross.
Yeah.
I picture his art before anyone else's for
Yep.
whatever reason, and I love the OGs, of course, but man, like just that Spider-Man.
Yeah.
and it just sticks in my head when I close my eyes and think of it.
I remember the first time I saw Alex Ross art, and it was, and you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about, but I guarantee you that almost nobody that's listening to this or watching this is going to know what I'm talking about, but you are. And it was Versus System. It was
Yes.
DC Versus System. The first time I ever saw Alex Ross's art was on a DC Versus System card, and I thought, "What is this? And who does superhero art like this?" And then it just was it was instant, like instantly in love with it. Just went down the rabbit hole of just like because he did some of the art for the Versus System cards, which, by the way, that was such a great game that just got
Well, so I was cleaning up the garage this week and I found some of mine. Kyle still has my like big set of cards. Like it better be in his mother's basement still. Like I gotta like
probably
Kyle,
is.
go get my cards in my Avengers box, please.
That was your
'Cause
Avengers box. I
yes,
tried to get him to let me have that for so long, and now I see why he didn't. He
it's
never told me it
mine.
was yours.
I hope he still has it. Like it's been there for 20 years, not that long, but
He
close.
literally never told me it was
Uh,
yours.
but the box is Alex Ross artwork. I'm pretty sure of the
Yep.
Avengers
It
on
was
it.
all the
So
way down the side. It had all the Avengers on it, and it flipped open.
yeah,
Yeah,
he still got it.
I tried to take that so many times, and he wouldn't let me. But now I
I
kind of see
got
why.
I got to get it back. But what was I even going to say? Oh, but Versus System. Now we're on another tangent. Look at us. You do know they still do it. It's just turned into a two-player.
Right, two PCG.
So I
Yeah,
bought it when it first came back. I bought like the first couple sets, but I know
yeah,
they've made a lot of sets since. Maybe that's something we need to get back into.
yeah. It's it was one of those things. I bought the start. I bought the first box to get everything going, and then I think I bought one expansion, and it was really cool. Some of the gameplay changes, though, I still love the original
Yeah.
style. But it was a lot of fun, and they still make it. And yeah, maybe it is something we should get back into. I wish they could make like a mobile version or a video game version where we could play online because it'd be way
Yeah.
easier. But yeah, that Versus System just one of those underrated card games that never got the massive popularity it probably should
Mm-mm.
have, especially from comic fans. Um, but it certainly was a pretty awesome game, and it had a lot of sets, and those sets are actually scarce and expensive now.
Right. So
Yeah.
Kyle, give me my stuff back just so I can look.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah. So that's where we're at currently on the aftermarket performance for cover prices top 10. Let's talk about Comic Hub's top 50, and this is something you sent me this week.
Did I?
You did. Comic Hub's top 50, ranking units sold in December 2024, and this was, I don't want to say it was like a jaw-dropping thing, but it was not unsurprising. Um, it was 8 of 9 of the Absolute series were in the top 50 units sold for December 2024. 8 of 9. Because we've only had, up until the end of December, we had only had 3 issues of each book. So there's only 9 total, and 8 of those were in Comic Hub's top 50 for units sold. That's getting it done. I mean,
I found it.
there's no way around it.
Yeah, that is getting it done.
You found it?
Yeah, I found it. Yeah.
Yeah. How's it looking?
Absolute.
Yep. No, yeah, it's wild. I went down through the list because I just wanted to see just how many. And at the top of it was Absolute Batman #3, which shouldn't be a surprise. That came out.
Right.
That was the release month for it. But even the older issues were still moving units. And pretty cool. Just shows that there's still full steam ahead on this. I think there's been a lot of conversation about how like we all know that these things are going to cool off, and yeah, that's the way comics go. I mean, they are going to cool off as time goes on, and it'll just become what the Ultimate Universe was years ago before they blew it up in Marvel, and now it's back. But it had been around for a long time, and I don't want to say it got stale, but people had kind of gotten out of it a little bit, and some people were still diehard into it. So it's just going to be one of those things, and sure, but right now it's still hot, and it's probably going to be hot until we flesh out some more of these stories, because the stories are, I think, interesting enough to keep you in on them, on all of them so far for me. I mean, I haven't felt like, oh, I could probably do without this title, or I might be done with this one. Haven't felt that about any of the series so far. So, but yeah, so pretty cool. 8 of 9. That's pretty awesome. Anything you want to add on that one?
No, we'll just continue New Year, see how it goes. March, they're adding a whole new crew basically, so there's adding more to it. They're building it. They're putting the time in. I'm reading it. So it's a win.
Speaking of building it, here's a curveball I don't think I even told you about until right before the show started when I told you what we were talking about on the news portion of things. But Aquaman? This one also got by me a little bit, but not that much. It just came out Wednesday. So go ahead. Were you getting ready to say something?
Well, if it's the same Aqua, it has to be. They've been promoting it at the end of every issue that we've been reading. Mm-hmm. I think it's been like an ad for it, but I just see it and look, y'all. I'm not an Aquaman fan.
I'm not buying Aquaman. You're not gonna make me buy Aquaman.
I'm not, but they keep trying to make me.
They're gonna make you buy Aquaman.
I'm not an Aquaman fan.
Yeah. So what has happened is Aquaman is back, and this is his first solo series in a minute. And something happens near the end of this book that might make you perk up a little bit if you're reading the Absolute Universe.
So I know they show you like they showed us like a preview, right? It was like 2 pages.
Right. So, well, we're gonna spoil a little bit of this.
Okay.
But so in the issue there is a pearl, and I can't remember what the pearl is called. It's important. It has a name, and I'm blanking right now. But by the end of the issue, that pearl pulls Aquaman through a portal, and the only thing that's left is an Omega symbol. And you don't know where he went. At least that's how I understand it. Now, again, I kind of just skimmed through it just to see what was happening, because I was like, what's going on here? Because I didn't know this was going to happen. It just kind of got out. But it looks like it's being hinted that Arthur Curry just got pulled over. And so we may be seeing some Absolute Universe Aquaman, even though he's not a product of that universe.
Right, they haven't said Absolute.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something interesting, to bring characters in that don't have their own run going is something to look at.
And to start threading these universes together, because it's going to happen, right? We know they haven't explicitly said we're doing a crossover, but it's comic books. It's comic books.
Everything comes together.
Right, so they're going to start threading these together, and it's kind of a pretty genius move by DC if they want to pump Aquaman a little bit, if they feel confident about the potential story that they're going to tell with this new Aquaman series. If they want to, get those numbers up and get those books out, what better way than to say, hey, look at this, look at where he might be going. Like, we don't know for sure that that's what happened, but that's sure as hell what it looks like.
Maybe that's what Joe Chill was trying to tell Batman. He's on his way. He's coming.
That would be a super left turn.
I mean, it makes sense, kind of. You go to the beach when it's windy, you get a little chill.
Well, don't forget. So this Aquaman has some new powers. During the DCLN special, I'm sorry, maybe it was the end of Absolute Power. I can't remember, but some of our heroes experienced some new powers. Some kind of lost some powers, and some experienced some new powers. I believe. Now I could be getting this wrong. It's been a minute. But Aquaman, I know part of it was he absorbed Mira's telekinetic powers. I don't know if they're called telekinesis or what, but it's some kind of mind powers. I'm completely blanking right now. But he has new powers, and I think that's part of what's going into this. I think it's the thing why some of this is happening. I have to read the issue. I really do. I just didn't have time when I found out about this. I was like, well, crap, I can't read it. I don't have time. But I'm going to read it this week because I want to see what actually happens. But yeah, Aquaman, looking like they're trying to bring him in on this now.
Why not? I
It's
guess.
going to get crazy. You know it's going to get crazy.
Yeah. So maybe read Aquaman.
Yeah, well, speaking of getting crazy, we got more news from one of our upcoming series, Absolute Flash, from the man himself, Jeff Lemire. On Jeff Lemire's Substack, and this is from Bleeding Cool. On Jeff Lemire's Substack, he did not give away any details, any major details to the story, but did bring up a couple interesting things. Wally West is going to be 15 in this, so very young.
Young boy.
Yep, very young, and he is apparently the first and only Flash right now.
Well, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So there is no other Flash. He is the only one, and he is the first one. So now that would lead you to believe that Barry Allen's not here, right? Apparently he is. Apparently Barry Allen is somewhere, and he is going to play a role. But Jeff Lemire has said it's going to be an unusual role and something you're not expecting.
So he won't be the Flash. He'll just be regular old Barry Allen.
It doesn't look like it. Maybe he's cop Barry Allen. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
Teacher Barry Allen.
Oh, there you go.
Mr. Allen.
Criminal Barry Allen. Captain Cold. Barry Allen is Captain Cold. So Barry Allen will be involved. He did say that we would potentially see Grodd involved early.
I love me some Grodd.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. And he also said that do not necessarily expect the Speed Force to exist in the Absolute Universe. So that could be an interesting wrinkle here. It could change kind of what we're seeing with Wally and how things are and how his powers work. So could be interesting to see that as well. If you know anything about Jeff Lemire, you know he's not afraid to take some risks and do some unique things. So sounds pretty fun. I'm kind of excited about it.
I'm ready to read it.
Yeah, I like it when the creators give you just enough to be like, all right, I'm gonna read it. I'll read it, I guess. We're already gonna read it, but now you're actually getting me excited to read it.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's what's up on that. Does that move the needle for you, or is it still Martian Manhunter you're most excited for?
Oh, yeah, I'm still in as Martian Manhunter just because I never really have been. But so I'm excited to just dive into something that I wouldn't normally would do.
You're absolute universing your comic reading habits right now. You're just flipping everything on its head.
Everything is just it's like I'm in the absolute universe. It's an opposite of me.
You're reading more DC titles than Marvel titles on a weekly basis.
My goodness, that's crazy. Crazy. More than Star Wars is usually I read more than anything, and
Right.
I'm over here reading Wonder Woman. Are you kidding me? This was not me a year ago.
Well, it's
Crazy.
exciting. I mean, but you know what? The reason this is perfect is that I'm not DC's target here. You are, right? Like you're
Right.
DC's target. They want you to read these books. They couldn't
Hey,
give a crap less. I'm going to buy them regardless. They know
You
that.
keep giving me more of that Laura, and I'll be reading DC all year.
So yeah, so I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum with these end of year shows, and I think we talked about it on Black Crown had a roundtable a couple weeks ago. We were talking about people saying comics are dead, which they are absolutely not, and the sales numbers back that up. We were talking about this was a good year. It was a good year. It was a good year. The Ultimate Universe is thriving. It was an absolute hit. The Absolute Universe is a hit. The Energon Universe is a hit. I mean,
Energon Universe is
yeah,
more than a hit. It's
it's a home run. It's unbelievable. And TMNT is a hit. Jason Aaron on TMNT has been so good, and we keep talking about ways to get new readers and to keep readers into series, and I think giving readers a jump point, giving readers a starting point to not have to go back and read 70 issues just to understand what the hell is going on. It's like you and I were talking about Blackest Night, and you were like, all right, what do I need to read? Just Blackest Night? And I'm like, no, here's a list of 70 issues you have to read. And you know what? While we're at it,
Right.
you should probably read Jeff Johns'
And
35 issues leading up to it and
I
all of
d-
Green Lantern Corps.
and I didn't even get to it over Christmas break. I gotta do better.
But it just shows you, like, like when you get to some of these events, and especially the good ones, it takes a long time for some of these writers and these artists to really build what they're trying to build. And I tell people all the time, like, if you're going to read Blackest Night, I know this sounds like a lot of work, but you really should just read all of Jeff Johns' run, because every step he takes in that run is leading to Blackest Night 50 issues later. I mean, he's laying the groundwork for Blackest Night from the first issue, and it's really cool to see. But it's a lot of work to get through. I don't care if you got DC Universe or DC Infinite and you can read them whenever you have free time. That's a lot of reading, man. Like, it's a lot to get through.
It's a lot. I was very intimidated by the list.
Yeah, I gave you the abridged version though. I got it whittled down to about 38.
There's got to be someone on YouTube did the whole thing for me. And
They
just
did. They did.
I've,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the comic historian took care of that. But yeah, so I think that this is, when we talk about target audience, it's you. It's giving you something fresh, something a little different, because obviously you're not a newbie, but any newbie could pick this up off the shelf and not have to try too hard to follow it. They don't even need to read All In Special to understand. It's just a different universe, and as long as they
right.
understand that, they can handle it. Honestly, reading All In Special makes you think harder and gives you more of a headache on it, because you're trying to connect things.
Well, it definitely is confusing when you have to flip the book over and don't realize it. So,
Well, speaking of All In Special, we're getting ready to end the show. We're going to wrap this sucker up. We did have a lot of news today, but speaking of All In Special, um, we are going to be giving away the DC All In Special #1 signed by Scott Snyder with a certificate of authenticity. We're going to do it through Instagram. And right now, it's going to be done through my Instagram page. I think that's probably the easiest way to do this. So we're going to be doing it through my Instagram page, and that's at Trek Wars Comics. So I'll be putting up a post this week about how to enter to win that book. I have the book here, but I don't want to go and dig it out. It's right here, but I can't reach it. It's yeah. So it's signed by Snyder. Got the certificate of authenticity. It's just a cool book. And if you haven't gotten one, why not try to get one for free, signed by the man himself?
signed
Yeah.
with the authenticity.
Yeah. So we'll go over we'll figure out the rules here in the next day or so, and by the time this episode is out to the public, you will you should have all of the rules and everything that you need to enter in. Additionally, if you haven't heard the news, we are now also live on Spotify. So if you prefer to take your podcast listening, if you prefer to listen to your podcast through Spotify, you can now find us on Spotify. All you have to do is search The Local Comic Podcast. It will come up. And right now, the only episode up is episode 3. We probably won't put 1 and 2 on there. We may at some point, if I can go back and yank the audio, I might do that. But we may just continue on like this. So this episode, you might even be listening on Spotify now. And if you are, thank you. Please give us a follow on there. If you have Spotify, please go ahead and follow us. Anyway, even if you enjoy watching on YouTube and listening to us, be sure to like and subscribe, share, please, because, like I said, we are still giving away the Jim Lee Absolute Superman, and that will be given away at 50 subscribers. So once we do that, we'll do a giveaway on there. So all that, free books, fun stuff to talk about, tangents about trading card games, all kinds of stuff. This was a fun episode. I think this is probably the most fun episode that we've done for me so far. So before we wrap this up, man, anything you got? Anything you want to add? What's going on this week?
Well, I think we're out of school tomorrow, so I'll just be here. I did tell you, for the viewers who may care, listeners, Star Wars Phantom Menace from PlayStation on the PS Store is only like $6. If you want to sweat, if you want to grind, an old game that's very clunky and hard, join me and take part, because that's probably what I'm going to be doing mostly tomorrow with my snow day.
Yeah.
They're trying to take down Darth Maul by the end of this thing.
So you're not going to believe this, but my kid also doesn't have school tomorrow.
They already called it?
Yeah, they already called it. But I got to go to the office.
Oh, you're the one who works from home.
I know. What's happening here?
Sounds like rice fun for lunch.
Yeah, it might happen. So, yeah. So that's it, man. So you got any streams planned this week? You going to be doing anything over on the Rebel channel?
I did one Friday. I don't know if I'm gonna do one tonight. If I'm off tomorrow, which I'm assuming we'll be, I'll probably get one in tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get one or two in this week. Just Fortnite.
Yeah.
Just cracking skulls on there.
Yeah. So
5-year-olds.
So if you're into Fortnite and game streams, be sure to go follow the homie over at Rebel Recess. Is that right?
If you pop it, yeah, Rebel Recess. If you pop in the chat and you want to play, you can play with us too. So we're family friendly for everyone to join.
Yep.
People of all ages.
Yep. So yeah, that's awesome. Anything else going on? Is that about it?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, for me, you can always catch me writing some Shaker entries over at coverprice.com. You can they cover the Shakers on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. So Laura, Gabe, and Chris and Marty and the crew will be covering all those cool Shaker books. That is a fun show. They have the top 10. We always reference the top 10 on here. They have the top 10 show on Tuesdays, and that's Laura, Gabe, Marty, and my dude Lando from Black Crown Comics. This will come out on Tuesday, so this doesn't really matter, but I will be on Black Crown Comics' stream tonight. It's Sunday, so I'll be on there tonight at 9 p.m. Doing the weekly comic wrap-up, talking about big sales and FOC. So that'll be a lot of fun. Always love getting on there and hanging out with Lando. He is quite literally one of the best out there doing this right now, and always fun. So if you're not following him, please go follow Black Crown Comics. Go follow Lefteros if you want to get all this good information that we're constantly getting and keeping up with FOC and keeping up with what's coming out on New Comic Book Day. Other than that, that's about it. So those are all the people that I get all my info from, and you know, they're great resources. They're not the only resources, but they're really good ones, and they do a lot of really good work. So yeah, that's about it. Catch me over there on Cover Price, writing away and trying to do that. And yeah, we'll be back here next week, same time.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop. All right, thank you guys. Everybody have a great week, and we will holler at you later. Adios.
Later.